Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to another installment of Getting Cozy with the Care Plan. I hope whatever you are doing and wherever you are at, you are feeling cozy and warm and ready to settle into comfort. I'm sure that you are having a long day, have been through some stuff today. We're just glad to be together. Hello, it's so good to see you here. Thank you for joining. I'm Jackie. My pronouns are she, her, and they, them, and I have the pleasure and honor of being the founder of the Care Plan. We have a real treat tonight because one of our team members, Krishan, is going to be joining momentarily. And here at the Care Plan, we actually have a growing team. We have 10 care navigators and we have 3 trainers. And Krishan is one of our excellent care navigators. She is on the leadership team and is a longtime caregiver, also a grief counselor. So, for our topic today on stress management, I think she's going to be the perfect partner. So if you have questions, if you have, stressors that you're dealing with in your life and you want some specific advice or just to name it, this is a great place to do that. Feel free to join in the chat. And we can also have people on live with me if you want to do that. I always like company. So don't hesitate. Feel free to chime in, share your thoughts, and share your strategies because stress management sounds like it resonated with a lot of folks. We're getting people in the room, but that can mean a whole lot of different things. So that's what we're talking about tonight is stress management. So just a few reminders of some things that are going on around the care plan. We have our comparing notes the second Wednesday of every month in the evening from 6:30 Central till 8 o'clock. No, 6 o'clock Central till 7:30. That's right. And this month we're going to be talking about key performance indicators, which is a fancy way of saying how do you measure your success in your organization. So we would love to have you join us for comparing notes. But for tonight, let's get started talking about stress management. And I want to encourage you to take a moment to breathe. So I know this is a live and you're probably expecting me to talk the whole time. But I want us to take a few moments and share just one strategy for stress management that has really been such a useful new tool for me that I'd love to share with you all. So I know that you have to hop out, a person in the chat has to hop out, but we will see you next week and thank you for joining today. So this tool is called parasympathetic breathing. For my counselors and therapists and mindfulness folks out there, this might be a familiar tool to you. But during the pandemic, I developed mask anxiety and I was stressed from so many things, but anytime I would put the mask on, I felt like I couldn't breathe. And then that feeling started to follow me. And I'm in healthcare, so I was working 6 days a week. I was wearing a mask every day when I was around this client I was working with. And it was something new that I had never dealt with before. And I didn't have tools around it. So one day I just got so stressed and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I was like, I'm going to just try some techniques. I'm going to look up some techniques on YouTube and see what works for me. So this is a tool that really works when you're in a place of high stress to, in the moment, be able to calm your nervous system down and just get a little bit more perspective and space. So I'm going to encourage you to take that moment now wherever you're at. And I encourage you to close your eyes. Sometimes I like to have a hand on my heart and a hand on my belly. And just take a deep, slow breath in through your nose. And exhale out through your mouth. Deep breath in through your nose. And out through your mouth. And we're going to inhale for 4 seconds and then exhale through our mouths for 6. So a slower exhale than inhale. So we're going to inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, Exhale through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. I invite you to continue breathing in that way and to think of a positive or happy memory. It might be a place, it might be a particular person, it might be a thing like a warm, cozy blanket, laying in the sunshine on the beach. But just let the warmth of that memory enter your body. You're deserving of happiness and joy and good memories and good times. Let's take 3 more deep breaths in. Deep inhale. And a gentle exhale. Deep inhale. Gentle exhale. Deep inhale. And a gentle exhale. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. So that's a strategy called parasympathetic breathing, and it's utilized in therapy spaces, but can be so useful beyond. If you're someone who struggles to calm your mind, I find that breathing exercises, meditation, just taking a few moments to turn off your screens, turn off the lights, maybe find a quiet space and just be still, sort of gets us out of up here and into the rest of our organism and our vessel. So that's just one strategy for stress management that I wanted to share today to start our time off. And I hope that you're feeling a little bit lighter and a little bit calmer than when you started watching this installment of Getting Cozy with the Care Plan. Krishan, I see that you are in the room, friend. I'm so glad that you're here. There should be a little button at the bottom of your screen that says Request to Join. So if you click that button, you'll be able to join the Instagram Live. So I'll wait for you for a minute. And everybody who's watching, whenever you're watching, just think about the things that you enjoy that do help to decrease your stress. We're going to talk about some of them here tonight, but you are on your own journey and you have your own experiences. So trust your instincts, trust what has worked for you in the past, and just maybe make that list of, for me, it would be breathing exercises, it would be being outside, it would be being with friends. So, whatever that list is for you, go ahead and make a few notes about it. And that way you'll have that to look back on. Krishan, I see that you said you did, and then share video appeared. Let's try it one more time, because normally if there's a request to join, I can see it, but I'm going to actually invite you. Thank goodness for technology. So you should have an invitation, and you should just be able to say yes. Here we go. Hello, friend. How are you?
Okay. Hello. How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
We're the Lot Club.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. I hope that you're in a space where you can share just a little bit about who you are and how you come to the work as a care navigator. I already let folks know that you're a member of our team, but would love to hear a little bit more about you and how you got here.
Well, I would say one, it was truly God sent and such a blessing for me to be able to join this team. They do amazing work for amazing people. And
Oh, Krishan, if you can hear me, it broke up a bit. So we lost you at amazing work for amazing people.
that we assist with helping our clients navigate through healthcare systems, assisting families with processing concerns around their loved ones, and just a variety of things.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing a little bit about how you got started as a caregiver?
Well, actually, I remember my first experience with caregiving came around when I was in the sixth grade, and my mom's dad took severely ill and ended up at the hospital. And I remember sneaking upstairs because back then they had really restrictive rules about going to visit people on the floors. And I remember going up there seeing him. There's some noise in the background. I apologize. And I just looked at him and says, you know what? I've got to learn all I can so I can help him. And that started the ball rolling, and I have been caregiving ever since.
Wow. Wow. So how old were you then?
I would say 11.
Okay. So 11
11.
till now.
Yeah,
That's
10 maybe, because I was in sixth grade. So I was fairly young.
yeah.
And I remember reading every book I could find because there wasn't any like YouTubes and videos back then. We
Yeah.
had encyclopedias. There was no Wikipedia. And so I spent a lot of time. I would be able to understand what was going on and be able to assist however I could.
Yeah, absolutely. And I share that sort of desire to care for family. I think a lot of people on here know, my caregiving journey. In some ways, it starts when you're an older sister. It starts as soon as that next child is born because you're always helping out. But formally, it started when I was 18, and my mom had been diagnosed with diabetes and rheumatoid arthritis right as I was entering college. And so I had the same feeling, the same instinct of like, I'm going to have to take care of her at some point, and there's probably other people in my life that will go through things, and I want to know how to do it. It was
Right.
so interesting to be in college and be learning about emotional health and well-being, but not like, what do you do if somebody you love needs help with standing and sitting down, or if they need you to help them brush their teeth, or help them with exercises? Like, there was just no place to learn that. So I know for me, I took a CNA class, and that launched the journey. But for you, Krishan, when you think about what causes stress as a caregiver, what are the things, when you've gone through periods where you've been really stressed out as a caregiver, what was some of the causes of that stress?
Burnout. Burnout. As a caregiver, there's so much that you are responsible for, and so you just get tired. You
Oh,
and
oh,
I just found that not having enough time to rest and care for myself caused me to have stress. And it does. You kind of lose yourself in caregiving because there's so much that person may need. And in my case, there were my elders, my mom, my aunt, my grandparents, who I was so used to them caring for me, and they no longer could. And so not only was I trying to navigate how to care for myself, but I was also caring for them. And I come from a very small family. I have no siblings. And so it pretty much all fell on me at some point. So not having that support can also be a reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're so right that when there is such high need, like there's a lot that can contribute to it. You know, for yourself being isolated in it or
Mm-hmm.
being that one child, the one that's sort of capable of providing that care, that can be so isolating. Um, I find that I get stressed out when the systems aren't working.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, if like doctors don't catch what's actually going on with your loved one, or the
Mm-hmm.
insurance isn't covering it, or you have to, you know, like run through a million hoops to get the medications filled properly. Like I feel like there's so many things when you're helping or coordinating somebody else's
Mm-hmm.
life that you aren't in control of, right? Because you can figure out what
Yeah,
happens in your home, but you can't help what's going on with those other systems.
that is very true. And I know that my grandfather, he was one of the quiet types. He didn't want to appear upset about things, but I was pregnant with my youngest son and I was going to see him. And I would be like, wait a minute, you all haven't gotten him up to go to the bathroom all day. Or that's not acceptable. Or
Mm-hmm.
you haven't cleaned him up. That's not acceptable. And so you have a standard of care and different things that you want your loved ones to be able to get. And when it's
Yeah.
out of your control, that also adds stress because you can't control what another person does. Yes, there are criteria and things, but just trying to manage that piece when you're not there to manage it was
Yeah.
also something that brought me some stress.
What did you do with that stress? Because, like, you know, it's almost, I think, whether it's about systems or if you don't have the resources in your family, like, say, I don't know what was going on for your grandpa, but say that, like, somebody, you just can't provide the round the clock care. You know, you can't, you don't always have the bodies who
Yeah,
can help with that kind of personal care and quality of life stuff. How did you deal with that?
that was really hard. I remember when my mom, who recently passed, so a little over a year ago, and I remember getting a call at work from her cancer team saying, you know, your mom, this brain cancer has spread. She's no longer able to be left alone at home. And so it was just us. And so I told my job, well, I've got to leave. I don't know when I'm going to be back. And so I had to stay home with her. And unfortunately, she did take a turn for the worse, and she did eventually pass. But it was very overwhelming because I did not have that extra support.
Yeah.
And, you know, people in my family tend to not really want outsiders. They were very private. And so I didn't have the option of really calling in and ask for help from others. You
Yeah.
know, but then my husband, who's going through a similar situation with his mom, they're more community based. They don't live here in this country, and so there were always people there to help him. And he used to ask me like, "Where are all the people? Your mom
Yeah.
died. Where are all the people?" I'm like, "But it's different. It's our culture and customs, and so you know, and it's different if you live in the South than if you live in the North, and you know, it's all those family dynamics that come into play." And so it's, you know, sometimes that only child or that one person in the family does end up providing the bulk of the care. And so that's why the care plan is so special, because we are able to go in and help alleviate some of that stress for families. We're able to be that bridge between the hospital and the doctors and the children or the wife or whomever is that other primary caregiver or person that's responsible. And I would have loved to have had something like this when I was having to navigate through those systems with my loved ones.
Yeah, and it's so, I just feel, and that's part of the reason why, you know, this company exists. I just feel like it's such a setup for caregivers because you're supposed to be working. You're probably raising kids or caring for somebody else already. and then an elder or someone you love needs more intensive support, and there's no place to get the education for it. It's almost like caregivers create the spaces to
Mm-hmm.
educate each other, because
Yeah.
there's groups like the Family Caregiver Alliance, and you can read things, but I think part of what we try to do is provide that education and context. So it's like, even if the system is terrible or hard, or even if your loved one is on a path where they're not going to get better,
Mm-hmm.
here's where you still have choice. Here's what's going on. How have you felt, because it's so soon still. It's so soon with your mom's loss. It's so soon with my mom's loss. How have you felt, kind of switching jobs, healing and grieving, and still helping people? Because I tell you, and you all, Krishan is excellent. Like,
Thank
I can't tell, in your work that, if there's anything going on. Like, you always show up for the families you're working with. And I can't imagine that that's easy when some of the situations are so
you.
close. So how are you dealing with that, like, grief related stress?
Yeah, and that's true. There are times when I have walked into a similar situation, or I'll have a family that'll remind me of my grandparents. Um, and what it does is that it brings me comfort and in this sort of way, because I can really empathize with what they're going through, and I just want to be able to provide someone the assistance and the love and attention that I so needed back then. I had some people in my life. I won't say I had no one, but it's different when you have walked the walk. Like, people, it's always easy to say, well, what I would do if I was in that position. Well, I've been in that position, and I just know things that would have brought me comfort, or those times when people were able to show up for me. And so I just want to be able to give someone that relief, to be able to say, oh, thank God I have somebody that I can call on, because that makes a huge difference. It really
Hmm.
does. Now, do I still have those flashback moments? Yeah, I do. But then, I can hear my grandmother, my aunt, smiling, saying, yep, she's good at that. And it's just something that I think I was just born to do, because I've been doing it for so long,
Yeah.
So I call it my God gift. We all have our special gifts, and I'm not a songbird or a dancer or a painter, but I have a big heart, and I can share it. So that's
Yeah.
how it grows. You throw something out, and then it comes back at you.
You really, and you really do. You have just the biggest heart, and anybody in your life is so lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Um, what are you doing these days for stress management? What helps you, ease that stress?
Hmm. Well, that's a good question. So I am an avid reader. So I have read many books. And a big plug for Audible, thank God, because I'm able to listen to a good book on my drive to a client, or from a client. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a big Egyptian enthusiast, and so they learn a little bit about Egyptian history when they're with me. Um, they're
That's
like,
so
oh my
cool.
God, that's one of my things. And they're like, really? I'm like, oh yeah, did you know that Nefertari was the stepmom of King Tut? And they're like, really, Krishan? Um, so I kind of, do things like that. I, I am a happy planner. And for those who don't know what those are, there's these planners that you can pop pages in and out. And I remember when I got my first one, and I went to Michael's, and I was like, what are all these books in here with all these stickers? And so I got on YouTube and realized that there's this whole community, and, you decorate your book. So I have the cutest darn planner with all my appointments in it.
Oh, that's so fun. That's so
So
fun.
yeah, so I do that. And then I love movies. So some I've watched 1,000 times, but I'm still excited each time I see them. And then I have
Hmm.
three grand sugars who are 8, 3, and 1. And so I spend time with them, and we play games online, and they're like my joy. I'll be like, yeah, they give me that extra boost.
Yeah.
They call me dear. So whenever I need that extra love, they be like, dear, I just love you so much. I'll be like, well, I just love you too. So
Come
that's
on, come
my good
on.
release, my good relief releases my energy.
That's so sweet, and just like warms you
It
up. It just warms
it
your spirit
does.
up to
It
be connected
does.
to those young
Yeah,
ones.
they'll
There's
be here
something.
Friday.
Oh yeah. Well, I won't expect to talk to you till Monday. I know you'll be preparing and getting everything
Oh
ready.
yeah. Oh yeah. My house will have life in it.
Well, there's something you said that I want to follow up on, which is that piece about, you're like, I'm a happy planner. I'm doing something that makes me happy and I'm doing it my way and with creativity. I also know you're part of Toastmasters. And I
Yes.
think that piece of whatever your passion is or whatever your curiosity is, it's so hard to do as a caregiver to like find the time for those things.
Oh,
But I think
definitely.
those things are so important for stress relief. If you can, whether it's something like that or get away, continue spending time with your friends,
Mm-hmm.
what go to church or your faith community, whatever gives you life and fills you up and recharges your battery. I think it's so important for caregivers in particular to do those things. Don't like
It
be a martyr and not
is.
not do anything for yourself. You have to nourish your soil to be able
It
to be a garden for your loved one.
it's true. I was talking to someone. I says, just imagine you have this pot and you have this beautiful plant or flower and you're watering it and you pour all the water out. So then what? What's left? And they're like, well, it's empty. I was like, exactly. And that is what happens when we continuously pour onto our beautiful flowers and plants, which we love and want them to grow. But at some point, you have to go to a faucet or some water source to get water in order to be able to water the plant some more so that it will grow. And so that's kind of what finding things that refuel or fill your pot. And it could be something as simple as coloring or taking a bubble
Mhm.
bath
Yes.
or having tea. I made my bath, and my husband calls it my private studio. And I have Egyptian curtains, and all of my Egyptian artifacts are in my bathroom. My incense, just all of it. It looks like a museum. and, and I have my Alexa in there, and my tea. I put my teapot in there now, so
Yes.
it looks. You can't tell it's a bathroom except that there's a toilet there. If that wasn't in there, you would not know what room you were in. So I've just been creative.
Oh,
You
that's
gotta find a space.
beautiful.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to
creating that
find a
oasis for
space.
yourself.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
do.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's so important for caregivers and for parents and for really if you have a big chunk of your life that is dedicated to other people, having even that environment, right? Like creating an environment for yourself. What's that Virginia Woolf book? A room of her own, a room of one's own, a space where you can go lay it down, set the stress down, and just feel different when you enter that space. I think
Mm-hmm.
and I bet that's resonating with a lot of people because of COVID. Many folks
Oh,
have
definitely.
reconfigured their spaces, created, offices in their home or um, craft spaces in their home, figuring it out so you can have an environment that reflects you and feeds you.
Yeah, that's real important. And you'd be surprised how much energy you get from being in a space that's soothing for you. If you do nothing but sit there and drink tea, that's part of my morning routine. I'll get up, I'll do my meditation, I'll have my tea brewing. I'm staring at my my Nefertiti and my Isis, and I got this big shower curtain behind me with the Egyptian prints on it. And I'm just like, I just imagine being on the Nile with my tea in the morning. That's what that's what I do.
I love it. I love it. Transported from the Western burbs to Egypt.
To Egypt, just like that. That's what a good imagination will do.
hmm hmm And the skills to decorate your space the way you want.
Oh yeah. Well, it definitely looks different. I'll say that. So, but I like it. I like it.
Yeah. I know that you're also a grief counselor, and we're going to be talking about that later on in this month,
Mhm.
but are there tips that whether when you counsel others, sort of general strategies for stress management that we haven't touched on that you would want to share?
Well, one of the things that I always do is give a person a chance to tell their story, because that's one of the things that is important. And I know a lot of times people are very confused what to say to a person that's grieving. And you really don't need to say much, but to give them the space to talk, because they want to remember their loved one. They don't want to get them. And so they may to talk about those last moments or how things were over and over again. But that's kind of how they process it. And all you need to do is listen and give them that space. There's nothing that you can say that's going to fix it or make them feel better. They just need to have a way to release it and get it out in a judgment-free zone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one
Mm-hmm.
of the things I did. And then in some of my group sessions, we do an exercise where I have them bring a picture of their loved one, and then they will tell a story about their loved one, and everybody who wants to goes around and shares. And surprisingly, I remember this one man who came to our session, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just here to support you all." And then he ended up telling us this whole story about, him and his dad, and how he, felt that things weren't good, between them. And then his dad passed, and he had been carrying that around the whole time. But we were able to give him that space to embrace that and to talk about it. And so he's doing quite well. So I think that's great. I like that. And one of the things my mom did was she wrote down what she wanted people to know, her loved ones. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was her final words to her family. And I actually included it in her obituary. And there were some things I was like, oh my gosh, she said that. Oh, she felt that way. Because I didn't read it until she passed away. I didn't read it until then. And
Yeah.
so one day I sat down and I was like, wow. But she got a chance to say what she wanted to say. So,
Mm-hmm.
so those are some good exercises to do. And I like the deep breathing. I learned how to deep breathe, and I do that every morning and sometimes at night too. I think
Yeah,
that's
when you
good
need it.
because, oh yeah, you'd be surprised at how we don't breathe the right way. And so we're not getting the right amount of oxygen in our brain, and that can, kind of exacerbate stress as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate those strategies, the storytelling, giving people space to tell their story. Also being part of a grief group, or a caregiver support group. I think that can really help. Because honestly, sometimes it helps to talk to people who've either been through it or who are going through it.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like other folks don't always understand. So I think that's because caregiving can be so isolating.
It
So I think
can.
it's important to get those communities. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
Oh no, I think so too. And one of the things that comes up a lot is that people are being told, well, you should be over that by now, or, well, that happened a while ago. Well, I went to an exercise years ago, and the facilitator said, if you can remember something in great detail, it's not in the past, it's in your present.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remembered that. And so I realized there are some things from my childhood that are still very much a part of my present. And so you know, when you're dealing with grief, you're not just dealing with, you know, or that thing that just happened. It's a
Yeah.
combination of things and grief, and they just compound each other. So you've got to be able to help the person pull back the layers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
so I learned that too, just like with the gentleman that attended our grief group. He talked about something way from his childhood that really got in the way of him grieving his father. And he
Yeah.
didn't realize that until we started doing the storytelling and giving him an opportunity to speak. And when he did speak, I was like, wow. So
Mm-hmm.
they need that safe space. It's really important.
Yeah, it stays on your mind,
Mm-hmm.
and I think to your point about the time it takes, whether it's to recover from a loss or when you're caregiving, I think when you're actively caregiving, it takes the time it takes, right? Like none of us has a crystal ball about how long our loved one will be with us.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have all kinds of feelings and emotions through that. So I always encourage people to understand that caregiving is a marathon, right? You don't know how long it's going to last, but it could be years, it could be months, but it feels like such a long time because you're always thinking about that person or you're always worried about that person, even when you're not with them. So I really encourage people to be kind to themselves, to get these supports in place, and to take your stress seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I haven't said is that stress really lives in the body. And I want folks to know this. Stress lives in the body. And so sometimes you might not be understanding up here how stressed you are. You might have become accustomed to physical ailments, right? Like you might have chronic fatigue or headaches all the time or rashes on your skin or, be clumsy and tripping over things or, dropping things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it shows up in our bodies first. So because especially for helpers, because we're always thinking like, what needs to be done? How can I support this person? What do I need to do? But sometimes our brains aren't the alarm system. It's our bodies.
That's true. And I know one thing for me, I used to well, my mother's therapist, we did a group session and she listened to me and she watched and she says, you know, I don't think you've processed the fact that your mom has this terminal disease and that one day she's going to succumb to it. And I'm really worried that, you know, you're not going to do well. And I said, well, I don't have time to process this because I'm in what I call go mode. You know,
Yeah.
go mode is I have to make sure that I dot this I cross this T. She have what she's need. I need to make sure she goes to her appointments. I have to make sure she eats. And so you're constantly moving and your brain is constantly going. You're in go mode.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then when it ends, it is that it's like it's like you hit a wall, you know,
Yeah.
because then it's like boom, and then reality jumps in so fast and you're like, what happened? And so
Mhm.
I've been encouraging some of our clients to enjoy your time with your loved one. Create some memories, take pictures, start a scrapbook, you know,
Yeah.
do things. And I bought this Echo Shadow. And so somehow, and I'm really not tech savvy, but I have it where it connected to my phone. And so it shows pictures. And so last night when I was at my computer working, it started showing me all these pictures of me and my mom and my aunt and our families. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, we really did do pictures together.
Yeah.
You know, oh, we really did go out and we really did have fun. But I didn't realize that I was creating those to one day be able to look back on. And so you
Yeah.
may not realize it at that moment. And then I found a card that my mother wrote me, and I don't know where it came from. I just happened to pick up this card from my desk, and I opened it, and it was from her telling me how wonderful I was and how she appreciated me. And I was like, did you just pull that out from somewhere? Because I don't know where it
Mhm.
came from. And it was just there. And so I
Mhm.
put it up to remind myself that, I did my best. She appreciated it, and it was her time. And so that is me moving kind of forward to that next stage of managing my grief. Now, do I still get sad? Yeah, because I miss my mom and my aunt and all those that have gone before me. But I look back and says, wow, we really did have some good times.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure you create those
Mm.
in spite
I-
of.
yeah. In spite of, exactly,
Yep.
exactly, because that doer energy is so strong because it feels like you can control those pieces,
Hmm.
or you can try to control them.
Yeah, try.
But the memories are what you never forget.
Hmm.
I definitely give people the same advice. Like, invest in the memories, invest in the fun,
Hmm.
invest in the laughter. I think about it in terms of, think about what brought you together in the first place, or what the core elements of the relationship are.
Hmm.
Because we see, say, in a romantic relationship, when people forget that, the relationship can fall apart. If
Yeah.
it becomes about we got to pay bills, we got to do this, we got to do that, and it's less about let's go on some dates, let's sit and watch a movie or talk to each other, let's break bread and really connect. When those things start to erode, the relationships erode, and I think that's where for caregivers also, it's not always pretty. Like, your stress can spill out to the person that you're providing care to.
Oh,
Most
definitely.
caregivers are not like, it's not like you're just, the stress is in here and you're perfect caregiver Susie. You can get short, you can yell, you can get frustrated. And
Yeah.
so when you're not taking good care of yourself, it truly impacts the relationship and the memories you have of the other person.
Yeah, it does. I still remember after my mom's memorial and everything, and I don't know, a couple of weeks I was resting, and I woke up one day and I was like, okay, I'm not tired. I'm ready to start back caregiving now. Like if I would have had that chance to really rest when I needed to be caregiving, it may not have seemed as stressful. And
Yeah.
so you really don't realize how much you don't sleep, how much you don't eat until you are on the other side of it, and you be like, oh, I haven't been out since when? What? Oh,
Yeah.
there's movies out, really? Because you forget about all that. Your
Hmm.
life becomes consumed with caregiving,
Yes.
and it's hard not to, because they need so much. It's like, my grandmother told me this phrase when I was young. She says, you're once a man and twice a child. And so for people who have had children, when you bring that infant home and you're worried and you're trying to do this and they're not sleeping through the night. Well, that's what our parents or people that we take care of become.
Yes.
They revert back to needing that 24-hour care. I don't want to eat that. I don't want to wear that. They go back to that. And so the roles shift. And I've said this a many a time. My mother, her favorite phrase was, but I'm your mama. She used to tell me that all the time. And I'll be like, yeah, but not today. Not today. and
Yeah.
and that's what I would have to say, because the roles shifted and she knew that. So then she started using that against me, because when I would come home, she's like, well, mommy, I want to play. I want to go out. I want some attention, just like you used to give me. And I'm like, no, 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 that's not how this is supposed to go. This isn't how it's supposed to go, though, Mom. You should have learned from this, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, so
Yeah.
it does. It switches.
And that's one of my favorite parts of, the memories that I do have with my mom and with many of the elders in my family that I've worked with, is there can be real power and comfort in that role reversal. You know, it doesn't have to be uncomfortable. I
Mm-hmm.
think, and the more grounded you are, the more people sense it. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
have aunts now that like cry on my shoulder. Literally, I hold them like children, and
Mm-hmm.
we just, you know, they just cry and
Yeah.
let go because they miss my mom or their parents or whatever's
Yeah.
happening. And but it's you know, when you're grounded and your stress is managed, people feel it, and then you're, I think, better as a caregiver. You're better as a partner, a parent, you know, whatever the other elements of who you are. It's better if we can really try to manage our stress and prioritize ourselves, put that oxygen on us first,
Yes,
because it's, those moments are so precious.
they are, and it feels like a lifetime at one point, and then you blink and you be like, what happened?
Yeah,
It's so fast. And you know, as I'm, my youngest son turned 27 today, and I'm like, oh my God, where did 27 years of my life go?
yeah.
I I just can't believe it, and it's short. It's like a blink of an eye. One minute you're young and you're playing with your dolls, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to get grown. But I grown, you know it. You should have told me, but you should have just showed me some bills. You should have told me this. I wasn't ready. You hoodwinked me, you know. And I said that to my mom. I
Understood.
said, y'all made being grown look like so much fun. Y'all bamboozled me. Cause it is. And my son was saying the same thing. Mama, you lied to us. I said, I know I ain't say it was fun. I know I didn't. Y'all just misinterpreted. I should have showed y'all some bills.
Oh my goodness. It's so true. It's so
Yeah,
true. The time flies.
it
So
does.
you want to make sure it's quality
Yes,
time. Quality time.
enjoy it. Even the not so good moments, one day you're going to look back on those and laugh. Oh my God. I think of some stuff my mom did and said, and this, one of her support team members sent her this talking, barking dog named Angel that she used to take to those appointments, and I would just be wanting to pull my hair out. And then I looked at, she had a picture I saw the other day that came up, and I was like, Lord, she loved that dog, didn't you? I'm like, now what am I do with it? I
Hmm.
gotta find somewhere to,
Hmm.
I can't
Hmm.
get rid of it now. So,
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny. My mom loved animals of every shape and size and would always wanted to have a dog in the house. And so she did for many years, but at a certain point she wasn't able to take care of an animal. So I got her a little robotic cat that
yep,
just
see,
sat near her, and it was one of those that turns on and kind of, you know, moves its paws and
yep,
rolls over. And I was like, but it did the trick.
it
You know,
did,
she
yep,
was comforted by it. So that's what
yep.
matters. Doesn't
Mine
matter
was
what
too.
anybody else thinks. What brought her comfort?
Yeah, and to see her with that dog in public, I used to be going, Lord, Jackie, I'd be like, oh gosh, that dog, and people would be coming up, oh, is that real? And I'd be like, oh, y'all, please don't encourage this.
Real enough.
Oh my
It's real
goodness.
for now.
Oh, it was just hilarious. I think back to that, I'm like, oh my goodness. So those are
Oh,
those sweet
Krishan.
memories.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing some of those memories with us. Thank you for the work that you do every single day. You do have the biggest heart, and it's just such
Thank
a
you.
pleasure to know you and to work with you.
Well, it has truly been my life's blessing, and I am looking forward to many, many, many years.
Same, same. And we'll let you go. I'm going to close out, but I hope you get home safe. And thank you so much for the blessing of this time. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Jackie, for having me.
All right. If there might be a little X in the top corner
Oh,
of your
I
screen,
see it. Yeah,
you
I'm
should
new
be able
to
to push
this
that.
tech stuff.
You're
Okay, thank
doing
you.
great. Thank you. Bye, hon.
Okay, bye bye.
And everybody who's watching, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation on stress management. We will see you next week. Our topic is aging while caregiving. So Krishan will be joining us again, hopefully. And I just want to say thank you for being part of our community. If you know somebody who could benefit from this conversation, please share it. Please share it. You know, we try to bring this content so people can feel comforted, get the education that they need to feel good about their decisions, and to just be sure that our communities are as well as they can be. So please help us out by sharing this video, and let us know what topics you'd like us to discuss. We're doing Cozy with the Care Plan through March. If people are enjoying it, we might continue. So just thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Take good care.